Well, good afternoon. It's time for another edition of Thursday Thoughts, and this one I'm calling Love Incognito. Now, I am an ancient alumnus of the Chittenango Select Choir, and I remember learning my part in the popular song, What the World Needs Now. It was by Burt Bacharach and Hal David, and the lyrics included advice to the Creator. Lord, we don't need another mountain. Lord, we don't need another meadow. What we need is love, sweet love, and that's all we need. And when you put that in the context of the 1960s sexual revolution, I would say that the contemporary definition of love, sweet love, essentially meant the removal of any moral constraints on sexual expression. Just a lifelong Woodstock experience. Well, love, in biblical meaning, is a much broader term than that unconstrained sexual expression. In fact, the word love in English translates different Greek terms that are found in the New Testament. One that's essentially what we would call brotherly love, one for sexual love, and one for the sacrificial, provisional, and protecting love that is originated in God. Now, I want to expand just a little bit on each of those. Brotherly love translates the term phileo, from which we get the city of love, Philadelphia. It honors everyone as an image bearer. We could use the term camaraderie as a synonym, and it is usually based on having things in common, mutual support and encouragement. And it's the love that really kind of fuels friendship. And then there's sexual love, and there's a term eros, which represents the romantic love that's meant to be experienced through sexual oneness as God designed it for marriage. And when sexuality is corrupted by ignoring God's design in extramarital expression of any kind, it is described by the term porneia. Divine love is represented by the term agape. And it is the love that God has for us. It is also the love that we are to have for God, for our neighbor, and even for our enemies. It is not love founded on feelings, mutual benefit, or reciprocation. It is love based on intentional choice and actions that are consistent with the motivation to do what will best serve the object of that love. For me, that's where love can travel incognito. A parent knows about incognito love. They constrain children from exploring things that may harm them when they're not ready for it. They keep them away from walking into a busy street, and the child may not see that as loving. They monitor the use of devices to protect them from predators or from disinformation that's going to cause harm to them. That kind of love is real, but it may not look like love to the child. It's incognito. The boundaries that God gives us can have the same incognito appearance. His moral guidelines are prescribed because he loves us enough to want what is the very best for us. Yet we can mistake this for an uncaring or controlling attitude about inflicting our pleasures. Now, the resolution to the dilemma develops over time. It's a matter of trust. Experience has taught me and keeps on teaching me that I'm easily deceived by my own preferences and motivations. I have to learn the hard way sometimes that my excursions outside of God's guidelines almost always result in destructive or certainly less than optimal outcomes. When I trust him enough to follow his guidelines, even when I don't feel like it, I find myself landing in a far better place in my relationship with him and with anyone else that's involved in the situation. God's love often comes to us incognito, encouraging us to pursue things that we may want to ignore and to avoid things that we want to pursue. The more we look for it and trust him, the more we'll experience it. His love incognito. Now, this weekend, we'll interact with John chapter 13 as Jesus starts his last night on earth in his mortal body with his disciples by washing their feet. Now, I hope you'll join us in person, or if you're unable to be here, that you would then join us online. And if you're choosing to be here, please sign up in advance. It helps us know how to set up the room. So God bless. Have a great week.